So, you're building with LLMs. You know how powerful they are, right? But I bet you've also seen that bill. Ouch. That power, it's not cheap. That's exactly what we're tackling today. We're going to dive into something called LLM FinOps. Think of it as the playbook for turning those expensive AI ops into something lean, mean, efficient, and honestly, even more powerful.
So here's the game plan. First, we're going to figure out why these bills get so high in the first place. Then we'll talk about getting into the right mindset. After that, we'll get practical with a toolkit full of cost-cutting tricks, look at how to design smarter systems from the ground up, and wrap it all up by focusing on the main goal here, efficiency.
All right, first things first. Let's talk about the hidden costs. You know the story, right? You build this awesome AI app, people start using it, it gets popular, and then you see the bill and it's just climbing and climbing. It's a classic problem. I mean, seriously, is your AI bill just out of control? Let's be real. This is the question that keeps a lot of developers up at night. You make something incredible, people love it, and then bam, your cloud bill just skyrockets. If that's you, trust me, you are definitely not alone.
Okay, so where's all this cash actually going? Well, the funny thing is, it's often these really simple things. We're talking about super long prompts, getting these really wordy, verbose responses back from the AI, or just using the biggest, most expensive model for absolutely everything. And of course, not caching anything. These might seem like small things, but they add up fast. Every single extra token you send in and every extra token you get back, yep, that's real money.
And this is where LLM FinOps comes into the picture. Now, this isn't just some fancy buzzword. It's a real discipline. It's all about baking financial smarts and good habits right into how you build your LLM systems. The goal? When you scale up, you're scaling your success, not just your bills.
Okay, so we've diagnosed the problem. Now let's talk about the solution. And it starts not with a line of code, but with a shift in how you think about all this. It's all about the mindset.
Think of this as your new playbook. The core idea here is just be intentional. Stop just throwing every single request at the most powerful model you have. Instead, start asking some simple questions like, hey, could a smaller, cheaper model get this done? Or, wait, have we answered this exact same question before? Or, am I pulling in way more documents than I actually need for context? Every strategy here on the left is designed to hit a very specific money-saving goal on the right.
All right, mindset, check. Now it's time to get our hands dirty and look at the actual tools and tactics you can use to start slashing that bill like right now.
First, you've got to understand what a token even is, and more importantly, what counts as one. Because here's the thing, it's everything. It's not just the user's question and the model's answer. It's your system message, all that context you're feeding it from your RAG system, the memory of the conversation, even the replies from function calls. It all gets converted into tokens, and you pay for every single one. This leads us to maybe the single most powerful tool in your toolkit, caching. The idea is so simple, it's brilliant. If someone asks a question you've already answered, why would you pay the LLM to think about it all over again? You wouldn't. You just serve up the answer you already have stored in memory. It's a total win-win. You save money, and the user gets their answer way, way faster. And just how big of a deal is this? We're talking up to a 40% reduction in costs. Yeah, 40%. For a lot of apps, especially ones that get a lot of the same questions over and over, that is a huge, huge saving for what's a pretty straightforward implementation. Next up, let's talk about model routing. This is just that classic principle. Use the right tool for the job. You wouldn't use a giant sledgehammer to put a tiny nail in the wall, would you? So why are we using something like GPT-4o for a simple FAQ lookup? It's overkill. The smart move is to route those simple tasks to a smaller, faster, and much cheaper model like GPT-4o Mini and save the big guns for the stuff that actually requires heavy-duty thinking.
Okay, so we have these cool individual tactics, right? Caching here, model routing there. Now, let's zoom out a bit and see how we can weave all of this together into a truly smart, efficient system from the start.
A huge part of this is controlling what goes in and what comes out. You have more power here than you think. You can do things like compress a long, rambling chat history into a tight summary. You can tell the model, hey, don't give me more than 100 tokens back. You can even force it to give you structured output, like JSON. This stuff is gold because it not only saves tokens, but it makes the AI's response way more predictable and easier to handle in your code. Okay, let's talk about RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. This is a big one. It's awesome for giving the model context, but man, it can be a massive cost trap.
Think about it. If your system pulls up 10 different documents for context, but the model only really needs 2 of them to answer the question, you just paid for 8 extra documents worth of tokens for absolutely no reason. The fix? You gotta be ruthless. Limit that retrieval. Only grab the top 2 or 3 most relevant chunks of info.
And here's where it all comes together in a beautiful, cost-saving flow. So, a user sends a request. What happens first? We don't just send it to the LLM. No way. First, a classifier looks at it and asks, is this simple or complex? Then, we check the cache. Have we seen this before? If the answer is no, then we go and do a really targeted RAG retrieval, grabbing only what's necessary. And only after all of that do we make a carefully constrained call to the right LLM. And of course, the last step, we save that result in the cache so we don't have to do it all over again. It's like a series of checkpoints, and each one can save you money.
All right, let's bring this all home. We've talked about the problem, the right way to think about it, and the architecture to build. It all boils down to one key idea.
So here are some final battle-tested tips for you. Default to smaller models like GPT-4o Mini or Llama 8B whenever you can. Summarize those chat histories to keep your context small. And hey, don't be afraid to put quotas or limits on user usage. But the biggest one, the most important takeaway, is this. Stop measuring just the cost per API call. Start measuring the cost per successful task. That's the metric that truly matters.
And I'll leave you with this one final thought. We often think that power means expensive, that bigger is better. But with AI, that's just not true. Real power doesn't come from having the biggest model or the highest bill. It comes from being efficient. Building smarter isn't just about saving a few bucks. It's about building fundamentally better, more powerful AI.